Q&A number one, or the first one in a long time at least. So I've got 5 questions here. These were some of the most upvoted. And in future Q&As, guys, I will say the person who asked the question as well. I'll give you guys the credit. I just forgot to do that for these questions. So I'm just going to read the questions, 5 questions, and we'll get rolling. And if you want to put in the comments, if you want to ask questions for the next Q&A, which I'll probably do in a few days, maybe a week, then put those comments or those questions in the comments. The ones with the most upvotes are the ones I'll go over. But let's kick things off here. Number 1, how do you program for on and off gear? Or does your dose determine volume and intensity? So this is a good question because it's basically asking the nuances of what's the difference from training natural to training enhanced. And the biggest difference is the recovery. Recovery is the only thing that's different. The general scheme of things does not change. The game plan doesn't change. None of that changes, whether you're natural or enhanced. What works best for one person may not work for another, but that is not dependent on if they're taking anything. The one thing that changes is the recovery aspect. So frequency, the frequency in which you can train the lifts, is really the only thing that's going to change much. Overall volume doesn't change from my experiences. I don't have to drop my volume on any given session because I'm off gear. But at the same time, my overall volume during the course of a week might drop off. So you kind of get what I'm saying here. Bottom line is you just can't recover as quickly. So whereas before, when I was on stuff, there were times when I was on like trend, there were times where I would deadlift 3 days a week, heavy 3 days a week. I do like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday deadlift scheme, really heavy, and I could recover no problem. I felt great, like I felt amazing, and I never, the biggest factor then was my CNS recovery. Whereas now, if I were deadlifting heavy every other day, I would be destroyed. I could never recover from that right now. So you see what I'm saying? It's just these differences in overall volume over the course of the week, which is tonnage, as well as the training frequency may have to come down, especially on lower body lifts. Now, you can recover better from deadlifts than you can recover better from squats than you can from deadlifts. So squats can generally be programmed at a higher frequency, whereas deadlifts cannot, because deadlifts are a much more fatiguing lift, and bench is not that fatiguing at all. So bench can be programmed relatively high frequency, natural or not. So that was a loaded answer. I kind of went all over the place there, but it's a complicated question, so I believe that covers it. Number 2, have you ever had a cat, and what is your opinion on cats versus dogs? So I have never had a cat, guys, never had a pet cat, but I love all animals. And this leads me to my story of when we were in Maui this past December, and we were coming off the boardwalk from the beach at Kaanapali Beach, and a cat walked up to me, and I started petting the cat, and then the cat hunkered down and sat there, and I petted the cat and made great friends with it, and I got a picture with the cat. And then I had to go because Kelly wouldn't let me pet the cat any longer. So we got going, but I made friends with this cat, and this was just a beach cat, because these cats live on they live under these bushes where they got somebody built them a cat house, and they live by the beach. It's freaking amazing, like happiest cats in the world. Actually, here's another thing. So the island of Lanai, it's one of the Hawaiian islands. It has like a cat refuge with like thousands of cats just roaming around on this refuge. Somebody made this. All these stray cats just live there, and you can go there and pet like 1 million cats. So Lanai you can see from Maui. So we've never actually been to Lanai, but you can take a ferry over there. And as far as cats versus dogs, I love dogs. I prefer dogs over cats, but I love all animals. I also had pet rabbits as a child. So I'm an animal fan, man. I love animals. But I definitely am partial to dogs. Dogs are loyal creatures that want to follow you everywhere, be your best friend, cuddle with you. They are the greatest animals out there. Their loyalty is unmatched, and that's why dogs are the best, So now Lucy would never allow me to have a cat either, because Lucy, if we're on a walk and she sees a cat, she tries to tear my arm off. Like, I'm literally like, I gotta hold, I'm like, you know, rabid at dog trying to get this cat. And this is anytime she sees a cat, she chases them under cars, and like Lucy cannot stand cats. So it is what it is. Number 3, what is the best ice cream flavor? That would be Bluebell, which is a brand out of Texas that you can find basically everywhere. At Walmart, at Kroger, whatever your grocery store is, Publix. Bluebell Cookie Two-Step. That's the best. Changed my mind. And the reasons for that is it has a very delectable cookie dough, plentiful cookie dough. So you get cookie dough sometimes and you're like, where's the freaking cookie dough? There's no cookie dough in here. This one has tons of cookie dough pieces. And then, which cookie dough, I love it, man. Cookie dough is freaking amazing. You cannot go wrong with it. But listen to this one though. So you get the cookie dough, but then you combine that with Oreo pieces. So it's like the best of both worlds. You got your Oreos in there, your Oreo chunks, and then you got your freaking cookie dough. Like, tell me anything better than that. So Cookie Two-Step, it comes in a blue package thing at Walmart. Bluebell, another good one, seasonal one here. Turkey Hill pumpkin pie ice cream. So this one, what I like about this one is you get the pumpkin swirls in there with the cinnamon, and it's just very, it's got flavor explosion. It's phenomenal. That's another good one. So that's my 2 favorites. There's a lot of solid ice creams out there. You know, you can't go wrong with them. I do like some blueberry cheesecake and strawberry cheesecake variations, but they're not as great. But they're good. They're good. But Bluebell, though, in general, that brand, you can't go wrong. Phenomenal. I have also tried Tillamook. Tillamook is pretty good. I don't think it's quite at the level of Bluebell because Tillamook doesn't have all the pieces inside of it. It's more of a plain ice cream base. For all their ice creams, they don't have as much fruit and stuff inside of them. Whereas Bluebell gets all the pieces and the fruits and all the, not fruits, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Gets all the stuff inside of it. So that's the answer to that one. Okay, this one's a spicy one. I don't want to make anyone upset, but do you think there's any chance Eric Boogenhagen is natural? So Eric Boogenhagen and I've only met him once, but he's from Wisconsin, near where I grew up. And we met at the gym once where he pulled a 725 behind the back deadlift randomly, first time I met him. And I believe, here's my belief, I may be wrong, we don't know what the guy does. My belief, based on everything I've known, everything I've done, my knowledge of the subject of natural or not, my belief is he started taking stuff within the last 6 months. That is my belief. My belief is he was completely natural up to that point. You can go back, look around May. He was benching 405 for a grinder. He looked much smaller. His arms weren't even anywhere close to as big as he is now. His delts weren't. He just didn't have the same size. Whereas now, if you look at his recent videos, his arms are massive. His delts have blown up tremendously. His bench is like 495, but he did have elbow wraps, and I understand that. But still, that's progress that is not something you could make naturally. You couldn't put even 50 pounds on your bench in 6 months naturally at that level. So these are all reasons why I think he's not natural right now. But I do think he was natural up until about 6 months ago. And I believe I have a pretty well-educated opinion on the subject. So whether or not he is, he's an awesome dude. He's from Wisconsin. Like, I'm a fan of him. You know, he's crazy. He's got the antics, but people love him. So not hating on the guy at all or anything. Like, I've been on gear for 9 years, you know. So it's like, this is just my well-informed opinion on. There's a certain look when you see someone. They have a certain look about them as far as the shape of the muscles. And this is what I was talking about with me coming off. That my muscles don't have the same shape. They don't have that 3D look. They don't have the same fullness. The delts aren't capped as much. The arms aren't quite as big, and you don't have the definition as much. You kind of soften up when you get natural. You soften up a little. You don't have the definition. You're not quite as lean, not quite as defined. So all these things, there's a look to it. Like, there's a look that is not natural. You understand? So that's just my opinion. Number 5, last question. What is your opinion? What, in your opinion, is the most impressive lift in powerlifting? And I had to think about this one for a little bit, but I have to give that one to Julius Maddox with the 770 bench, simply because he blew away the